Okay. Yeah, hi. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. We are having a little bit of a technical issue, so I'm just waiting for Dr. Parul to join us.
Can you hear me, Nila?
Yes, we can hear you, but we can't see you. I think
I think you will have to unplug my video because I'm not getting the rights from here. So it's saying start video. The host has asked to start your video, and I
yeah.
said start,
Huh.
allow. Okay, yeah.
There we are. Okay.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, so far so good.
Yeah. So, yes, today's topic is a very relevant topic on every mom's mind. I think it's been there forever. I mean, ever since you become a mom, this is a topic on the
Yeah,
digital eye
yeah,
strain on kids. But earlier, we at least felt more in control because
yeah,
we could control the screen exposure. Now
yeah,
it's almost become a necessity with the lockdown and with the entire situation happening.
yeah,
It's the
yeah,
most popular choice as well, right, for education and
yeah,
everything like that. So I think now it's become all the more important.
yeah.
So thank you, Parul, for joining us today. Dr. Parul needs no introduction. However, I will still attempt. She has a rich experience handling various portfolios and is known for her volume quality surgical work. Her area of specialization are cataract, refractive glaucoma. Currently, she is leading ophthalmology department at 3 locations: Gurgaon, Panchsheel Park, and Saket, Delhi. She's been the academic coordinator for DNB and established the FACO Academy to train surgeons at Center for Sight, Delhi. She is also a regular at national and international conferences as ophthalmic speaker. Uh, and in fact, I have connected with Dr. Parul a lot during her social work. She's done a lot in that field as well. She, in fact, led the Not in My Name campaign. It was a citizens campaign in Gurgaon to support equality. And she also played a very active role in the anti pollution campaign in Gurgaon. Welcome once again, Dr. Parul.
Yeah, thank you. Pleasure to be
Yeah.
here.
So, how has the COVID situation been? I see you're in the hospital. Are you in the hospital right now? Yes, you are in the hospital right now. So, how is the scene there?
So what we have done is that these are evolving times, and we are also learning a lot of things as time goes by. So from our starting to now, we've come a long way, and learning more about management, learning more about how to segregate patients, and what we have done in our hospitals because we can't mix all kind of patients together, and there are other medical conditions which need to be taken care of also. So we have kind of segregated places and hospitals that which will be COVID and non-COVID areas. So far so good. I think Gurgaon is doing fairly okay. There are quite a few options, and because of the citizens movement, group of people have come together and they are making available more info and more choices. The district administration is being quite supportive. So I mean, hospitals are pretty much geared to it. Of course, there'll be problems, and there'll be points where you'll get stuck and you'll need help, but it's all evolving. At least people are proactive both in hospitals and in the district administration. Sadly, Gurgaon doesn't have too many government hospitals. We have barely two or three choices. So we are with private hospital, but then of course they have built Meteor where they're taking all kind of patients. So even a non-paying poor patient can avail services there. So things
Right.
are building up, and hospitals, they're taking full precautions. So the work has changed. I mean, a simple OPD consult, the way it would have been earlier, it's a bit different now. But when patients come here, they feel very safe because there's just so much safety measures being taken care of.
Okay. And how has been the number of people coming to the OPD, especially for eye care related issues? And do you think this is a time where we can bring them in, or do you think only critical cases should be coming in? What is your views on this?
So it's good that you asked that. Number one, we have to remember that COVID is a cold, cough, flu, which is quite contagious. The only negative side is that it's very contagious and affects a certain segment of population more than the others. 85 to 90% people are still asymptomatic. I mean, the numbers which you see out there is not the real number. In actual community, it must be much larger. People have got it, become okay with it, and this is the way it's going to be in future for a long time, 6 months, year, 2 years. We don't know the deadline. So if the life cannot stop, so we have to take care of our health. We have to take care of our children. We have to take care of elderly. Because of the scare of COVID, it shouldn't be that we are stuck with 100 other comorbidities because we are not screening enough. We are not detecting, diseases enough. So there would be morbidity and it would all come like an avalanche later. So with adequate safety precautions, people will, need to step out for medical ailments, and hospital is taking care to make it as safe as possible. So our branch is such that either we get children or we get the elderly population for cataracts and surgery, and both are vulnerable from a psychological perspective. For a parent, for a young couple at home, he doesn't know whether I should take a child to a hospital, and he would be as perplexed about an elderly at home because both are vulnerable.
Right.
So for children, let me assure everybody that it's a very, very safe zone. You've not heard of any case where a child has been a problem. Children have got COVID, the whole family's got COVID, and the children have been playing around completely asymptomatic, and they become okay. World across, the data, says that they are not really the vulnerable group. And one or two anecdotes will always be with other kind of comorbidities. So children, teenagers, 20s are in a very, very safe zone as far as COVID is concerned. Elderly will have to come with their problem with adequate precautions. So because see, your route of entry is just the nose and mouth. So any patient who comes in, we always tell them that make sure that your mask is taped properly. So anybody stepping in also, first thing which we do is just tape everybody's mask. I mean, this is the first time in my OPD I'm sitting without a taped mask in the whole care right now, and nobody's allowed to come here. But and surface also, like people are bothered about cleaning 10 different surfaces, not realizing that the common point is the surface, and between the entry point is your hand. So
Right.
instead of cleaning 20 surfaces, if you clean your hand 20 times a day, you're breaking the cycle and keeping yourself safe.
Right.
So similarly in hospital also, we try to do a no touch technology. Don't press the elevator button, carry something with which you can do. If you have a proper tape mask, it's a pretty safe area. See, we've been coming here daily for the past 3 months. The whole staff comes here. And as I said that, because in 90% people it's just going to be asymptomatic or a one-day fever, and at least you get it, you get immunity. Are you safe? You carry your immunity passport, and there have been no reports of reinfection. So that's a good thing, because this is going to stay. How long will you stay at home? How long will you not get your child for an eye checkup? It's not a matter of 1 or 2 months. It could be 6 months, it could be 8 months. So with due precautions, I think we will have to step out and get them over.
Get Okay, this is clear. So, in fact, one of the questions in the community when we mentioned that you will be addressing questions is how frequent should kids, especially teens, be taken for their eye test? And is it okay to take them out right now if it is due? So
Yeah.
these two questions that was asked in the community. If you could just briefly touch on this as well.
Yeah. So that's what I answered right now. That it's safe. If it's something which you can hold, suppose you got your glasses checked, say 3 months back. I mean, normally we call you once in 6 months from the age group of 3 or 4 if you have spectacles till you're growing, say 12, 14 years of age. It's a growing body, it's a growing eye, so your refractive errors change. So we call you once in every 6 months. So see if it's been 6 months or not. 1 or 2 months you can easily wait. And for above teens, we call them yearly. But the question is again that 1 or 2 months wait will lead you to what?
Right.
So you might as well come in now with all the safety precautions.
Got it.
But if it can wait, sure. But children are in a very, very safe zone. So we've had toddlers and children, and we do a quick examination. So we if
Is the frequency is 6 months, is it? Or it depends upon the, suppose if the kid is already diagnosed, then probably it depends what the doctor says. Otherwise, is it how many months?
Yeah, but usually it's 6 months. So from the time of detection, so probably say a preschool time is the time when we usually do the screening, or the school does the screening, and that's how we come to know, because children don't complain of an eye problem per se. It's only in a screening that you get to know that, oh, they have blurred vision and they need glasses. So from then on, it's once in 6 months till their number stabilizes, which is usually any time from the age of 12 to 16, 17. See, because the glasses number is related to the length and structure of the eyeball. So when we are growing and our body is changing, even the eyeball structure is changing, which is not in our control. So, whenever parents ask this question that what can we do, we don't want our bacha to wear glasses, and the moment you say chashma hai, their face drops naturally, and you will do anything at that time, not to wear glasses. Yeah. Now, it's so difficult to explain that it's something which is very, very optical and structured. Like every genetic mapping and chromosome, we are all very individual. So the way we look, the skin color, the height is all our own mapping, right? So similarly, how short or long your eyeball is going to be, or how the curvature of the eyeball is going to be, it's a chromosomal mapping which is already mapped. So if you were bound to have a glasses power, because if your eyeball is long, your image is not focused on the retina. So it's in ahead of the retina, and I'll need to give some kind of lenses here, plus or minus, to shift the image from here onto the retina, right? So that is an optical correction which cannot be reversed. So there are some small dynamics sometimes which happen in the eye, and if it's an accommodative number, like if a child is reading too much or has been on screen too much, there is an induced myopia, sometimes that can be reversed. But by and large, the numbers stay, and the next question before you ask me is the natural question which all parents ask: is the diet have a role and an exercise have a role?
Yes, that is there in my set of questions. It is there. And in fact, I was in that phase 6 months ago. So my son was detected, and then they said that he has to wear glasses. And I haven't, my husband wears glasses. I don't. So I was in a state of shock. I was like, why should he be wearing glasses, right? Okay, doctor. So coming to to our topic today, how do we actually reduce? Is it possible for us to be able to reduce the eye strain, given that it's almost becoming mandatory that they should have so many number of screen hours? How do we then help reduce the eye strain in kids?
So let's talk about the digital eye strain. Now that's become a norm, right? Earlier we could tell the parents that these are the WHO guidelines. You need to restrict, the screen time. But now there is no other way. But by the way, WHO guidelines last year, April 2019, said that ideally no screen time from the time a child is born, from 0 to 2 years of age. There should be no screen. So no iPads, no phones. From 2 to 4, about an hour, and 4 onwards, say 2 hours a day. But these are rough guidelines. The idea is that because these are developing years, so it's not just the eye thing which gets affected, but it's also the social and the cognitive behavior which gets affected when children are on screen. So for example, 0 to 2 years, don't expose them to screen. 2 to 4 years, if the child is on the screen, then the advice is to co-view, that the parents are also viewing whatever the child is seeing, and it's more interactive, and you are putting the perspective in real life. So be it cartoon or something, there's a constant chatter instead of the child just gazing. Now, as far as the eyes are concerned for the screen, see, there is no data, and let me assure all the parents out there that the screen does not permanently damage the eye. That's a myth. That चश्मा, screen देख के बच्चे का आंख खराब हो गया, या बहुत screen देखा तो चश्मा आ गया. No, that kind of chashma is a very small category of the refractive error which comes by looking at the screen. What screen does definitely is add to the eye strain. So which means that your eyes can get fatigued, your muscles can get fatigued, the child can have headaches. Sometimes you will see that the child is constantly rubbing their eyes, or their eyes become red. So basically these are all eye strain and fatigue symptoms, the strain which we have to avoid for children. when they are on the screen. Now it's the new norm. The classes are happening on screen. So what do you do? I mean, they have to be on the screen.
Right.
So first and foremost, you have to understand that when we are looking at a near object, the muscles inside our eye are the one which makes us focus at all distances. They are continuously focusing and defocusing million times to make us focus at all distances. When you look at a near object, this is the focusing muscles which is constantly under strain, and that can give rise to fatigue, headaches, and it can also induce a small minus number. So we need to release this constant effort. It's like if you go to a gym and I make you stand with 10 kgs of weight on your biceps, they will strain out. You'll start getting a spasm when we start going to the gym. So similarly for the near muscles, have to break that strain. Now, when a child or a teenager is on the screen, the normal dictum is to break that constant stare. So what you do is there is either a 10-10 dictum or a 20-20-20. What does 10-10 means? That every 10 minutes, close your eyes for 10 seconds. So intermittently, like I have closed my eyes now while talking to you. One, it's giving rest to my internal muscles, the one which focus for near objects, the screen. And secondly, my tear film is getting rejuvenated, and I'll tell you why the tear film is important. So it's not practically possible that you have a stopwatch and every 10 minutes you close your eyes. Put a fluorescent sticker or a reminder on the laptop. Put a cartoon or something that blink eyes or close eyes so that the child remembers, or the parent moving around can just intermittently remind the child that either to close the eyes or to look away from the screen intermittently. So either we do it 10-10 or 20-20-20 means that every 20 minutes, look at a 20 feet distance for 20 seconds, basically breaking off from the screen. So it completely takes away the strain and the side effects of those muscles which are constantly at work when you are on the screen.
Okay. So is this applicable for adults as well? This 10-10 rule, is this applicable for adults as well, the 10-10 rule and the 20-20 rule?
For everybody, because the muscles have to get rested. Now, the second thing which happens, which gives rise to eye strain, is the decreased frequency. See, this blinking which we have is not just happening randomly. It's such a beautiful mechanism. Every time we blink, we are creating a tear film. There's a gland, blink, tear film. There are two holes in the eyelid. The tear film completely moistens your eye, goes into your nasolacrimal duct. It's a 24/7 process we don't even get to know. When we are on the screen, unconsciously the blinking rate decreases. And when we blink less, the tear film evaporates faster. You get a dry eye, and in summers you have the air conditioning and the fans running these days. So the dry eye condition increases more. So you'll see children, they're blinking more often. Sometimes if your child's eyes are watering, means the eyes are dry. That's a reflex watering because the eyes are dry now. So again, by taking intermittent breaks, the tear film gets rejuvenated. And if the child constantly has watering, or if there is a burning sensation, even for adults, we advise these lubricating eye drops, which are preservative free. They can be taken off the shelf, and you can easily keep putting them a couple of times a day. I mean, a lot of people use lubricating eye drop, but make sure that they are preservative free. So then you can use them for months and years.
Okay. There are quite a few questions as well coming in from our audience. So one is, Prakriti has asked, how about Blu-ray glasses? Are these effective for 3.5-year-old as well? The kid does not have eye power. That's one question. I'll add another question from another member, Bharati Mani. Any correlation between the screen size and increase in eye power?
Yeah, so good questions. One is that these computer glasses are quite an overrated thing. Whenever you go to an optical shop, you will see very few doctors and hospitals prescribing computer glasses. You ask anybody wearing computer glasses, he'll tell you, I've picked it up from an optical shop, because they kind of push it on to you. What are these computer glasses? Basically, these are clear plastic lenses, and they have anti-reflective coating on them, and they have a UV blocking blue block filters, because out of the spectrum of the light, it's said that the blue spectrum is the one which damages the eye. One, you have to understand that children's eyes are very healthy from the blue spectrum. It's only when you age that your lens starts showing sclerotic changes, and then you may need computer glasses. So children don't need computer glasses. What they need is the brightness and contrast adjusted to what they feel comfortable. Okay. But glasses are not for children, even for teenagers, even for office goers, because there's so many people whose whole day goes on the screen, the software guys and all. We tell them that make a choice. It's a very subjective thing. So
Okay.
basically, these simple glasses with anti-reflective coating and a blue block filter
Right.
is not a therapy. It works for some and it doesn't work for some. Like most people will buy these expensive computer glasses and then they just keep lying somewhere. What you're doing in your computer glasses, you can very well do on the screen. So the screen should not be very bright, and the light. So ergonomics and screen and eyes are very important. So for example, the posture of a child or a teenager sitting in front of the screen, like he shouldn't be doing this all the time. The closer the object, the more you are accommodating, the more strain on the eye muscle. So an arm's length. So we advise you to keep the laptop or computer at an arm's length because that's an intermediate distance and your eyes are kind of relaxed at that case. Secondly, the height of the laptop should not be very high, like it should not be here and it should not be very low, because if it's higher, then my eyes are opening wider. And if my eyes are opening wider with the fan and air conditioning, my tear film is evaporating faster. So I'll get more dry eye. So arm's length and at an eye level or a little below eye level is the thing. And ergonomics, your posture. I mean, if you slouch for 4-5 hours, you know how it's going to be, shoulder aches, headache and all that. So one was the computer classes, not necessary for children. Two, if an adult teenager has strain, he can try it out. Don't spend too much money on it. You may end up using or not using it.
Okay. And the next question is, any correlation between the screen size and increase in eye power? By the way, that answer was, it was detailed and very useful for us. So thank you for that, doctor. So the next question is, any correlation between screen size and increase in eye power?
See, smaller the screen, that is why out of all the different devices, so you have phone, you have our mobile phone, you have the iPads and the Kindle, and then you have the laptop and the television. So we are talking about 4, for example, different screen devices. Now, logically, what do you think would be the worst? A mobile or a TV? Small screen or a big screen?
A small screen should be worse.
Yeah. Smaller the screen, more you are accommodating. So the convergence accommodative muscle inside the eye. So I'll come to the eye exercise part because there are two kind of muscles. One which make our eyes move in all directions. Those are the external muscles, and the internal muscles are which make me accommodate. So if I'm holding a mobile and I'm 6 hours on the mobile, these are 6 hours on the laptop is better. That's why in children, whenever they come to OPD, I said mobile is a no-no. You know, and these are all habits. We all existed in no mobile era also, and we were quite happy.
Yeah.
So these are just habits. And bachcho ke saath na, it's all and none. You can't moderate. I mean, how can you moderate? Even an adult can't. So I always tell them just lock it. So smaller the screen, more the problem. So a laptop is an ideal size, and that's why TV is also not so bad. So I think that answers if it comes to size. Power of the eye doesn't matter. See, whether you are -1, every time parents come and moms get this mini heart attack because -1 ho gaya, -2, -3, -4, and it's like, oh, fir badh gaya. That badhna doesn't mean anything. The eyes are the same health-wise from -1 to -6 or -7. Beyond -7, -8, we say, okay, it's a pathological myopia, so the retina may be at a risk and needs prevention. But do not bother about the Chashmeka number. A -1 child is exactly the same eye as a -5. It is just that the eyeball is a little longer. So I have to shift the image. So I need a different power of the lens depending on the gap here to shift the image. So it's just optics. So once you're wearing -1 or -5, what you're seeing is 6/6, you become 0, then it doesn't matter, small screen, big screen, and the power, they are not correlated. Your number should be correct. You should not be off, because if you're 0.5 or -0.5 or 1 off, means you are straining. The child is seeing blurred and they don't get to know. They just manage with whatever they see. It's only that's why we tell them that come 6 months, every parent, without the child complaining, you have to come. This is for people wearing spectacles. For early, like every child, mandatory to go eye screening at preschool age. So 3 or 4 is when we want every child to come. And if the parents are wearing glasses, then it becomes mandatory once a year checkup from 4 years. till 14 years of age, because they can come up with number anytime. And it's not a direct genetic link. Like many a times parents have glasses and bachas don't. And many a times it's vice versa. So there is no rule there, because it's my own individual chromosome mapping.
Got it. You did mention when you were talking that even when kids don't complain, and I kind of picked that up because my child never complained that he was not able to see anything. And finally, a few things, he had headache, and then I took him, and then he got his glasses. We came out. He looked at the building on the opposite side, and there was a big signboard on top, and he was like shocked. And he told me, "Amma, this is the first time I'm seeing that signboard." And I just felt so terrible. I was like, I always assumed that he was fine. So how do we actually find out when they have vision issues? Are there small cues?
Yeah, this is a very common problem. I got my glasses in class 8, and by the time I was -3. And when I wore my glasses, I was like, wow, the world looks so good. How did I even exist before this? Sometimes parents come for the child is -4. And I know that I'm sure they've gone to 2-3 more second opinions after coming to us that how come I didn't know that my child was -4.
Yeah.
So what happens is that children just manage. It's not that you're not seeing, but it's not a full vision, it's a blurred vision. So, for example, what we see right now, how much ever is your vision, you assume that that's normal. This is how the world looks like. But an eagle's eye or some other species which can see 6'4", 6'3", will tell you that, oh, your 6'6" vision, it's half the vision of what I can see. They're seeing much better. It's just that we don't know any better. Child doesn't know any better. So what he's grown with and what he's seeing is the normal world for him. So he'll just go a little closer to the television. He'll just ignore whatever you can't see. I can see 10 buildings outside my window. I can't see beyond that. But that doesn't bother me because I think that that's normal. So the telltale signs you have to pick up. Now, what are the telltale signs? So suppose your child starts going closer to the television to watch TV. Suppose he starts holding objects very close to the eyes. Suppose he starts leaning more towards the laptop.
Right.
Suppose he starts rubbing his eyes, or you see his eyes watering. Even strain and watering can be a sign of blurred vision. Sometimes children squint. Sometimes children make a posture. They're watching television and they'll watch like this. Sometimes they start making a slit. They'll do this to watch. Now, what that slit does is they're trying to make a pinhole effect. So when we check for glasses power, we always put a little pinhole, and the pinhole cuts off the rays and it makes you focus. So many a times, you're not, if you've forgotten your chashma at home, that's what you do when you go outside. You start making a slit and squinting.
Right.
So these are the telltale signs that the bacha could be having a problem. You get them earlier, but otherwise, preschool age, they have to be screened.
Got it. So because I always fed my son carrots, but he still had to wear. So does diet have?
Oh my God, carrot is such an overrated vegetable. It's such an overrated. It's probably one of the least beneficial. I don't know who started this carrot business and where it came from, some cartoon somewhere. But so if we have to talk about diet for eyes, right? And let's be very clear. Let me tell all moms out there that the diet has got nothing to do with chashme ka number. When parents come and we tell them that the child has glasses, the first reaction is of guilt. Moms always feel, what have I not done enough that my bacha got chashma? So moms, you have not done anything wrong. You've taken very good care of your children. If it has to happen, it will anyways happen, because diet cannot change the optics of your eye. My diet cannot change the shape of my nose. So the chashma is only related to the shape of the eye. How can any diet change the structure of your eyeball? It can't, right? So when we say good diet for the eyes, it's only for the well-being of the eyes. The way you can't change the skin color, but if I moisturize it well, the texture will become okay. Right. Similarly, for eyes, the diet cannot take away the chashme ka number. Whatever you may feel, whatever you may do. Till 22 years of my practice, I always encourage people that whatever alternative you are doing, get me a scientific proof. I'll see you pehle and I'll see you later. And whatever you've done, we are ready to propagate it to the world if there was anything to reverse or stop the progression of glasses power. But good diet is like maintaining your retina well. So vitamin A, E, omega-3 fatty acid, carotenoids, antioxidants. This is what an eye needs, which is there in all green vegetables. So when children come in my OPD, I ask them, what greens do you know? What does mama have in fridge? Tell me all green things you have in your fridge. So they'll think and say, so anything green is good. All fruits are good. Little bit of nuts is very easy to incorporate in children's diet when they're going to school. Just, give them in their handful, becomes a habit. A little bit of almonds, little bit of walnuts is more than sufficient. If they can have eggs, fish, chicken, great. If they cannot, supplement it with paneer. But that's all. That's all. Increasing extra carrot is not going to do anything.
But okay, so Lindsay says, and I also tell you, doctor, thanks for taking the guilt diet, the diet guilt out forever. Thank you so much. There is a question from Madhu Jacob. She asks, if a child has myopia, is it okay for the child to read books without glasses?
Yes, it's okay. See, myopia is short-sightedness, which means that they are okay for near vision. Their vision is blurred for distance. But what happens is that we think the near vision is this much. Reading is fine without the glasses. Like I am myope, I can take off my glasses and read very well. But children, out of habit, sometimes will take the book away. The moment it crosses the 33 centimeter reading distance, and arm's length also becomes an intermediate distance, and that comes and gets covered by myopia.
Hmm.
So as long as it's, and you will always observe myopic children hold objects very close to the eye. They have a habit of reading like this, then like this, because here it becomes blurred for them. So we think that myopia is distance vision, but even this is distance for them, an arm's length. So if it's closer, it's absolutely fine. But if it's a little away, and that means including laptop and screens, it's better that they wear glasses. So for myopes, we actually tell them to wear it constantly because it's very difficult for them to gauge that itna distance pe chashma ya itna distance. So let them just wear it constantly. But if he once in a while takes them out while reading, it's all right.
And so you did mention about the 10-10 rule and the 20-20 rule.
Yeah.
But are there any other exercises that can help in kind of taking care of the eye or decreasing the eye strain?
So good that you asked because we spoke about two muscles. See, external muscles and the one which they need to do in yoga, look right, left, or rotating. As such, scientifically, they are not required because by common sense, you can understand that our eyes are moving million times a day during a day. I mean, we are looking everywhere. So anyway, they are getting enough exercise. Now, there is a particular set of people who have, for example, accommodative convergence weakness, the muscles which are required to focus for near objects, which can only be detected by examination, quick examination in the OPD. And if somebody has a weakness like that, then we ask them to do those pen pencil exercise to make their eyes stronger because when we look at near objects, it's accommodation and then convergent means eyes coming inside. So we make those muscles stronger. So it has to be a guided exercise which a doctor tells you. But random exercise at home has no role, number one. Number two, just do simple things like to soothe the eyes. So for example, you can just cup your eyes intermittently. This helps, right?
Right.
You can do cold compression when you're on screen for a very long time. You can take tissue in chilled water and put it over your eyes. You can do chilled rose water compresses the way, the home remedies. You even have these eye gel masks which are available at chemists they are these gel masks which you keep in your fridge. And suppose you had a long day, tired at the screen. Children also love it. You just do that. Or you can do like cubes of aloe vera, just freeze them. But these are all soothing things. As I said, that the screen doesn't really damage the eyes permanently. Screen is not a culprit for getting chashme ka number myopia, except for a small category which is called accommodative myopia. And when we detect that, then of course we tell the child, the parents, that the child should be completely off screen and reading for some time, so that they induce so much accommodation that we create a temporary minus number. And then we have to kind of take a break from the screen completely. So if your child starts complaining of headache and strain, then it's a good idea to give a break completely for a day or 2-3 days maybe. And intermittent breaks is very important. I mean, that's the best thing that you can do for digital eye strain. And there is a category, since we are talking about progression of myopia, I just want the parents to know that there is a trial drop, which we've been doing for a couple of years now. It's a diluted atropine drop, not for everybody, but just to for people to know that there's an option. It's difficult to explain how it works, but 60 to 70% people in growing myopia, like we have children who are just suddenly growing from -2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, they keep growing, and that's because of an increase in their eyeball length. These drops work for some children, and we've been able to arrest the progression of myopia. But again, we have to select which kind of children and whom to put, and we explain them that this is not like 100% foolproof, but as long as there's no flip side, we can try that option. So that's something in progressive myopias that we put children on to.
Okay. So now there are also member questions. Swati Sahai asks, her 10-year-old daughter has started squinting while watching TV. Do I have a cause to worry? Also, I've recently ordered a zero power glasses with blue lens for her. This is supposed to protect eyes from harmful rays. Are these glasses actually helpful? I think you've answered the second part of the question. The first part also you've answered, but still a word for Swati Sahai.
You should ideally, yes. I mean, you should get her eye examined just to make sure that the vision is fine and there's no refractive error and no muscle.
The next is question from Subhashini. When we go out and come back, sometimes due to pollution and dust, we feel eye irritation. Is just using water to clean our eyes enough, or are there any solution to use? I've seen some OTC at chemists, hence asking.
Yeah. So you can do both. When you come back, you can wash your eyes with water, but make sure it's RO water from the fridge, not the tap water.
Okay. But yeah. Is that only when washing off the dust, or even normally? Because usually I just...
When you're doing the eyes, though our tear film has a lot of antibacterial, anti-lysosomal properties, it's a protective layer. Right. But you're washing the eyes and you know how good now tap water is. Why take that chance? Take out a bottle from the fridge and just wash your face and eyes with that to avoid any kind of chlorine contamination or any kind of mild bacteria flora in it.
Does temperature of the water have any role in it? Like, can I
soothing effect? Okay. Soothing effect. And all these drops which you get at the chemist, as I said, the preservative lubricating drops, that also you can use. They have no flip side to them.
I don't know if you want to take this question, but I will just mention it's from Sandhya. How can kids clean their glasses on their own? Basically, I think what she wants to know is how can we train them to take care of their eyewear? And there's another question from Parul. Despite wearing spectacles, my son still holds his books very close to his eyes, books or phone. Does that mean his numbers are increasing?
So what was the first question?
The first question is, how do I teach my kids to clean their eyewear and basically to take care of their eyewear?
Yeah, no, important question because it's a constant thing on their face and it needs to be smudge free. Because many a times, even adults, you will notice you take out your glasses and they are smudged, and which means you've been straining unconsciously while seeing through them. So it has to be a cotton linen, and usually these optical people will give you that lint-free material to wipe the eyes. And there's also a solution which you get from optical shops, and they will happily give it to you complimentary. You don't even need to buy it. So you can use that and a lint-free material, or at home just wash it with soap and water and with cotton. There shouldn't be any fiber in it. So lint-free is what you need. So even cotton napkins work very well. And one, I don't know, it's very difficult to teach children, but children have a habit of doing this, and their whole chashma becomes misaligned. And that's a problem for people with children with astigmatic and cylindrical number, because astigmatism, the power is on a particular axis. And when the chashma is slightly tilted, which means that they are seeing off axis, means they are putting an eye strain and the vision is not clear. So it should be a habit to remove the glasses when they take it off with both hands, and to put it together with both hands so that it remains aligned. Easier said than done. So what you need to do is, if I can show you here, I don't know, can you see the glasses here?
Yes.
So intermittently check your bachcha's glasses by tapping on both the sides. Like if I tap here, you can see my glasses are slightly off aligned. Like ek thoda sa it's a little up and a little down. So it's not perfectly aligned. So many a times, we will not notice, but child's glasses will be quite tilted because the frame, this thing has got tilted, and which means that the axis is not correct. So it should be, if I tap on both the side, it should not move. So it should be a well-balanced frame. So this the parents can check for children. And cleaning, I'm sure you can teach them how to clean the eyes.
Right, yeah. And daily hygiene habits, they've asked.
Which habits?
Daily hygiene.
Eye hygiene or contact lens hygiene? So
Sure.
there is nothing like eye hygiene which you need to do separately on a daily basis.
Okay.
Keeping your glasses clean, we have told. Contact lens wearers, of course, teenagers have to be very careful. Even if you're not wearing your lenses every day, the case should be cleaned and the solution should be changed every day. Do not sleep with your lenses on. So please tell all your teenager kids it's not a good habit to. Afternoon nap is fine, but not the overnight sleep, because we get these cases once in a while. Bachas have partied, they have not taken off their lenses before sleeping, and next day morning they come with infection, conjunctivitis. You can even get corneal ulcers. So the proper care of contact lens and the case is very important. You need to clean the case, change the solution every day, because sometimes when we are at home 2-3 days, child will wear spectacles, not wear contact lenses,
Right.
but not change the solution. So they have to have a habit of, like with the morning brush or something, clean your case and change the solution of contact lenses every day.
Got it. So we'll take one last question. Anshu Shika has asked, there's a little redness or very mild infection, if it can go away on its own. I've recently noticed that my daughter's eye gets little infected in the span of 2 to 3 months. What can you suggest for naturally treating them?
So it won't be infection. By and large, these are allergies. So in summer months, and a lot of moms can relate to it, and especially when the children have been on screen, a lot of bachas are getting a little congested eye. Every now and then you'll see that their eyes have become a little red. Now, what that redness is, that the white portion of your eye has these fine blood vessels, they dilate. Basically, there's a little allergy, a little dryness of the eye, and the eye is trying to correct itself by increasing the blood flow. So the redness is just dilated blood vessels. So we don't run and aggressively treat mild rednesses. The body itself takes care of its own. The allergy part goes away. Anything more severe than just slight redness is when the child starts itching, we give anti-allergic eye drop. So nothing to be done. If it's a mild redness, keep them off screen for some time. You can use those lubricating eye drops, which I told you, moisture drops, which are absolutely safe. And in 2-3 days time you will see that it's gone off. But at that time, decrease the screen time, because screen, eye strain, dry eye will increase the redness more. So just let them be, take them off screen, use a lubricant eye drop, do a bit of cold compressor, and they'll be fine. And lastly, for parents who are very scared, or they are not comfortable with their children wearing glasses, they always have an option. Wait till 18, 19 years of age, then you can always do a LASIK and get rid of their glasses. But that's much later. So there is a solution for those kind of category of people who just don't want their children to have glasses long term, or the children themselves don't want to have glasses. So there's some beautiful refractive procedures. Of course, we do it if it's absolutely safe, but it's not as if that you will always have to wear glasses. So even there you have a solution later, but that's only 18 plus and 19 plus. Till such time, glasses, and be very easy and comfortable about the fact, because when parents come to us, we tell us this is the easiest and the simplest problem you can have. I tell them, spend one day with me in OPD, or come to the wards with me. When you see genuine eye problems and kids with problems, and there are so many eye diseases where we say that nothing can be done. Can you imagine a parent coming with a child and optic nerves not working, retinal problems, and permanently the vision is lost or blurred? Chashma is nothing in front of that. It's just an optical device, and you can get rid of it later. So don't bear it too heavily on your head if your bacha wears chashma. And never express it in front of the child. The children are so receptive. The child is okay with wearing glasses. He doesn't know any good or bad, but it's how the society conditions them. So if they see their mom becoming gloomy, they feel, oh, what is this? So I always tell them that embrace it very happily, make it a fun activity. When you go to buy your spectacle frame, for girls, go for Barbie, there's that color. With boys, blue color, Superman, Spider-Man. Make it a fun activity. Oh, we'll buy you a new frame, you look cool. But don't let it bear heavily on your mind. It's the smallest of problem for an eye surgeon or a parent.
Very true. I know I've already overshot my time that I requested, but just one last question because okay, so the doctor, I've also heard of a case where two boys played throwing sand on each other. One boy had severe issues as he rubbed his eye with the sand inside. Can you educate us on this?
Rubbed sand inside the eye.
Yeah, so basically, another kid threw sand inside his eyes, and this kid, because he didn't know and he was not told about it, he rubbed his eye with the sand
Ah,
inside it, and
yeah.
it got ruptured. So,
Yeah. So for any kind of installation in the eye, be it, accidentally, it could be anything with children at home. Sometimes we get these alkali burns or acid or any liquid, a child has thrown a syrup, या glue chala gaya. So any foreign body, be it sand or any kind of material, all what you have to do is immediately wash, 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 wash. Just keep washing the eyes. So the more you wash, the more it comes out of the eye. And it's not just the foreign body needs to come out of the eye, whatever is the foreign body, it's the pH also which you have to get correct. Because if it's a glue or any kind of paint lying at home and it's gone into the eye, the pH of the eye alters. So when we say to wash, it's not only just to remove the substance, but
yeah,
also to get the pH correct, because that's very important for the cornea metabolism. So
yeah,
just wash, wash, wash. If the child is able to or able to open his eyes comfortably after that, and there is no significant redness, you don't need to seek an eye help. But if the child is spazzing a lot after that, even after washing a lot, and if there's redness of the eye, means that there is a corneal abrasion, the cornea can get scratched or damaged, and it becomes okay. But then you need to seek medical attention. So anything in the eye, instead of rubbing, just
hmm.
wash. Keep washing throughout the day, every 2 hours. Keep washing. Immediately, it should be at least a 5 minutes by wash.
Yeah. It's important we teach our kids the same thing as well, I
Yeah.
guess. Thank you so much, doctor, for your time. The explanations that you've given, it taught us a lot of things today. It also helped debunk a lot of myths that we were carrying, and in fact, kind of we were able to let go of some of the guilt that we all were carrying along with us as well. So thank you so much for your time.
Right.
Great tips. Thank you again.
Thank you, Neela. I hope it helps you all out there. And stay positive, stay safe. We'll all get through these times also. And you're doing a wonderful job.
Thank you.
So, and I am so happy about this whole Gurgaon community. I mean, people are really there for each other.
They are. They are.
So, and we are there. So, no worry.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.